We have had the misfortune of hearing new phrases that have become commonplace over and over and over and over again. Today we're going to look at some of those and kind of compare what they mean today versus what they used to mean. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. Today we're going to focus a bit on education. Let's start with a phrase that is perhaps the one that we hear the most often, and that is flatten the curve. Who knew that flatten the curve would become the rallying cry in the year 2020? Flattening the curve is a good thing to do, but you're not alone if you're tired about talking about it. Instead, why don't we smash the trajectory? And if that's not your favorite option, let's beat down the bend or trample the contour. You got options. In the past, flatten the curve is what happens to your backside when you get older. I know that I have flattened the curve on my trousers. How about face masks? Face masks, they're not fun, but they can serve an important purpose. If you're tired of talking about them, give yours a fun new nickname. How about if you put on your grimace visor or don your mug cloak? People will appreciate that you care enough to use a continence veil. Okay, have you been told to wash your hands enough? By now, we're all hand washing experts. Maybe you're even ready to try a new title for that. How about mitt laundering, extremity cleansing, or paw scrubbing? That phrase and the act that it describes, unfortunately, it ain't going anyplace. So spend the next 20-second trip that you have to your sink mulling over some new ways that you can express yourself on that subject. Here's one that people sometimes mispronounce. How about uncharted? We're in uncharted territory, and we're headed for uncharted waters. But the word uncharted, it's no longer a mystery to any of us. Much like unprecedented, that word has become one of the most used of the pandemic, and that's when people aren't mistaking it for unchartered. It's ruffling your feathers. If it's ruffling your feathers, try mentally replacing it with another word like unexplored or little known or undiscovered. Are we perhaps headed into exotic waters? Well, I don't think we can say that, but it might make things sound a little more interesting. Here's one that you don't hear very often. It's a symptom, and it's known as COVID toes. COVID toes is an informal name for reddish sores on the toes and sometimes your fingers. It's considered a possible symptom of COVID-19, especially in younger asymptomatic patients. So parents, kids, if you see the younger people with COVID toes, make sure you get them tested. Here's one we've heard over and over again. How about herd immunity? It's the immunity or resistance to a particular infection that occurs in a group of people or animals when a very high percentage of individuals have been vaccinated or been previously exposed to the infection. Eli, just for your edification, it doesn't mean what you often hear President Trump often say. And I quote, "It'll just disappear. I heard we're getting immunity," unquote. I don't think that's what herd immunity means. What do you think, Eli? Incubation period means the period between infection and the appearance of signs of a disease. Hey, we've all experienced that. For me, not so much anymore, but as a teenager, every time I had a chocolate bar, there was an incubation period until it showed up on my face. How about isolation? It's the complete separation from others of a person suffering from contagious or infectious disease. Have I experienced that? Virtually every night as a teenager, I was in isolation, so I just refer to isolation as Saturday night. How about mitigation? Disease mitigation are measures taken to slow the spread of infection. Quarantine, isolation, and social distancing are forms of mitigation. Washing your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds is an important thing to do to help prevent the spread or mitigate COVID-19. I have another thought. How about staying home when you don't have an essential task to perform? That'll mitigate also. Here's one. You may not have heard this one. How about patient zero? Patient zero refers to the person who is identified as the first person infected with a communicable disease during an outbreak. Have I been patient zero before? Once again, of course I have. Do you ever have to go to the emergency room? When you're waiting, you're in the emergency room and you're waiting for a doctor to look at you. I feel like I'm patient zero. How about physical distancing? Physical distancing is an alternative term for social distancing. That's not the way I look at it. Social distancing was when I would ask somebody out on a date. They wanted social distancing. Physical distancing was the result once I got married. Sweetheart, can we have a little physical distancing? Okay, how about R naught? It's like an R with a little O next to it. It's written as R naught or N-A-U-G-T or N-O-U-G-T or R0. The R stands for reproduction or reproductive. R naught is the average number of people that a person with an infectious disease is expected to spread the infection to in population immune to the disease. In other words, if one person's infected, how many other people are they going to infect? R naught is also called the basic reproduction rate. If R naught is greater than 1, it can spread in a population and cause an outbreak. Of course, once again, I go back to when I was dating. My dates use that term all the time. You are not coming over. So I've experienced that before. And finally, we're going to talk about zoonotic. Zoonotic means, quote, relating to any disease of animals communicable to humans, unquote. The noun form is zoonosis. The source of COVID-19 is believed to be an animal. Remember way back when they were saying we got it from a bat? Which makes it a zoonotic disease. I got nothing really witty to say about zoonotic. I'm such an animal myself. And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, why don't we just all get out there and charge? I'm Eli's dad.